some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Warning, wrestling POV's content may contain language that is not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Warning, wrestling POV's content may contain language that is not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Warning, wrestling POV's content may contain language that is not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
I want him to be.
I think, honestly, I'd take it down a notch.
This is the big slow.
Yeah. Oh
wow,
my
that's
God.
just rude. Brutus, the barber, beefcake. I mean,
Brutus.
Oh my God.
Gonna stomp my boots in the
Wrestling POV is on to bigger and better things, and this is just the start.
Versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Megamora.
So what the fuck?
to license
Belt up for on Swimsuit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
I don't know who's gonna win the Royal Rumble.
Roman.
Oh no! No!
So that means that Punk won't be able to do it either.
Thank you.
Versus
Thank
you.
you. I want it.
Olympic gold medalist.
Anyway. I think you had the UK vote because you put Pete Dunne in there.
Yep.
At least I didn't abandon my son. All right.
Damn. Would you take it down a notch, Spaz?
Oh my God! Like that's so awesome. Like you really have a really good singing voice. Like I wish I could sound like you. Like that's so awesome that you sound like that.
Oh, thank you. I was waiting for you to say twats again.
to license
21-16. The next time Tony will win the WPOV championship.
Well, here's your headline.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Wrestling POV, episode number 101. I am your host, Tony Diaz, along with Mimi Goody.
All us.
And the third wheel, Rick Serrano III.
Hey people!
And our intern, Miguel Cole.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Tony, you're too loud right now.
Too loud? What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm a new father, and it's just I haven't been sleeping, and oh my goodness.
Why haven't you been sleeping?
Because my son is here, and he's just driving me crazy.
Oh, so he's a parent now. that's
oh my goodness, it's too loud.
Is he there? What's his name? Can we hear from him or no?
Oh goodness, he just took a Miguelito. Hey Dad, what's going on? Hey dude, what's going on, dude? Hey, what is it, dude, Dad?
Dude,
please don't touch that, please. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. What are you doing over there? Hey, who's that? Is that? That's it. That's funny. I love that. Dude, oh, that's awesome. Oh my goodness, Miguelito, please, you're gonna
bingo.
Why is he letting him play with the soundboard?
I don't know.
Listen, he does not believe in disciplining his kid, is what he said.
Ah.
So I'm just watching him tear up my house. Here we go. Say something to him, or I'm gonna say something to him. Miguelito, please. But what are you talking about? Like, you said I can come to work with you today, and you're here at work, and I want to hit the buttons. Like, awesome, come on, dude. What's going on?
All right, so all right, so you know what, Miguel?
Go get him some ice cream or some shit.
I know, right? I know you've been strapped for money, and I know you've been an intern for Wrestling POV for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Probably longer than an average intern.
Well, it's about a year.
No, it's been longer than that. It's been longer than that.
Hell,
It's like going
well,
on
that's
2
years. Yeah. Well,
So,
Jesus Christ.
so you know what? I decided to make you a full-time employee of Wrestling POV Podcast.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Tony, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is amazing, Mr. Rick. We're out of the hole. Yeah, we're out of the hole. We're out of the hole.
All right, so now go back to your whole corner and play with the soundboard and
A
get this.
whole corner? What?
Your whole corner.
Jeepers, man.
Jesus, what the hell do you think we're doing over here? We got a kid now. Come on, baby.
Unreal. All right, so Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
All right, so Jesus Christ. You know what? Let's go on to the wrestling news from around the world. Take it away,
right.
Rick.
And before we do that, let's get into some birthdays.
Yahoo! What? What happened to the Yahoo?
Jesus.
Miguelito, please. Please. I'm finally getting paid.
Oh God!
All right.
Take two.
All right, so let's get into some birthdays.
There we go.
All right. First up, our first birthday. Cesaro turns 37 years old.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Cesaro.
Yeah, and every tag partner he has always gets hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens with.
You know, honestly, I think as bad as it sounds, I don't mean it in any bad way towards Sheamus, but this is probably the best thing that happened to Cesaro.
Uh-huh.
I can honestly see him doing some big things in the main event picture if he goes on a singles run. You heard it here first.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so. He could.
He could, but they're gonna keep him mid card no matter what.
They might.
If he goes on a single run, he is my early favorite pick to win the Royal Rumble. You heard it here first.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Bastards. Next up, our last
Jesus Christ. Miguel, you really got to get in control of your kid.
I'm trying.
Oh yeah!
Rick, why don't you take control of that kid and beat his ass and sit him down?
I will call ACS if this man touches my child.
Jesus.
my.
Oh, there you go. My
There you
hands
go.
up.
All right.
All right, next up, our last birthday, Bill Goldberg turns 51 years old.
Goldberg.
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
More like Oldberg.
51. I didn't think he was that
Old?
old. I thought he was older than that. Serious? Okay. All right, sure.
All right, yeah.
Happy birthday.
Bill. It is now time for the wrestling news from around the world. All right, Dave Bautista wants back in the WWE
does.
on a full-time schedule.
Yep, he wants to be on TV and work house shows.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The animal wants to
that's
come
okay.
back. I'm excited about
I'm
it. I mean, this
I'm
last one was
excited.
terrible.
Well, that's because he was part-time back then.
Yeah.
He's going to be full-time.
Yeah, probably.
I want him to be.
I think, honestly, I take it down a notch. I think what it is is that I think what it is basically is because he did Guardians of the Galaxy number 2, and I honestly I think he's starting to fade away. So I think this is his way for people to,
remember
him and stay in tune with him.
Oh, yeah. I remember
because
that.
I don't honestly. I could be wrong. I don't know. But my guess is I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did as much as the first one. So I think his way to help is to get back on television on a regular basis. And where to do that would be in wrestling. He's still in shape. So, oh boy.
Oh, Lord.
My God.
All right, well, hopefully we'll see Batista back. I mean, just don't.
Do you
make
want to
him
see
win the
him
Royal
back?
Rumble.
Yes.
Do not make him win the Royal Rumble.
Oh my God! Don't make him win the Royal Rumble.
They'll make him win the Royal Rumble. But yes, I would like to see him back.
Yes. WWE drops the rumored WrestleMania 34 match between the 4 horsewomen and the UFC women.
Really? What do they say?
Yeah. They say they're dropping it. They
Oh.
said that they have other plans for the UFC women.
Yeah.
And So that's
Yeah, it's called entering the Royal Rumble. Hello.
Okay. That's what you said.
That's my prediction.
Okay.
Speaking of the Royal Rumble, Kane says this will probably be his last Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yahoo!
Right?
I mean, it's about time. I mean, but then... Alright, so the thing is, this is his last Royal Rumble. Then Big Show's talking about he wants to get back in the ring. Slow? No!
This is the big slow.
Yeah. Oh
Wow,
my
that's
God.
just rude.
Oh Lord.
Alright, and my last bit of news. Vincent Kennedy McMahon sold over 3 million shares of his WWE
Damn.
stock to support funding for his new company, Alpha Entertainment. He also has trademarked UFL, the United Football League.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he wants to get back into football.
Oh.
Oh my God. XFL, man.
I know, right?
Do it.
Yeah.
Didn't Kiss Gene Simmons did some shit like that too?
They didn't buy a team. They did an arena team. LA Kiss.
Yeah.
Just arena football though. But, I don't know how they did. I know they did bad. The first year around, they did real bad. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're still in it. They wouldn't invest that much time and money into it without, just for a first year run. So. But,
and before I forget, I just also want to thank the people who thanked us and
Yeah.
congratulate us on our 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt Novak. Thank you, Ant the Liberator. Yo, Ant the Liberator is hustling for Wrestling POV.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Love the dude. He's
Love
a really cool dude. Kim G.
I want to bring him back on the show.
Yeah, we definitely got to bring him back. Kimchi, Kamala's manager.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brutus, the barber beefcake. I mean,
Oh,
it is
Brutus.
Oh my God.
And of course, Kenny Casanova. I mean, yo, I told you guys, Wrestling POV is on to bigger and better things, and this is just the start. All right,
True.
get ready, people.
That
We're
is
going
true.
bigger and better.
Yeah.
What? What's that? Matt Hardy was here.
Yeah.
I know.
A tired Matt Hardy. Especially after what happened. All right, let's go straight on to rumors. I only got one today for this week. Apparently, someone leaked the card for Fastlane on March 11th.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that was leaked was Fatal 5-Way, the main event for the WWE Championship, and these are the participants in it. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Randy Orton versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Nagamura.
So what the fuck? What did you just? Oh my
I said
God.
Nagamura.
Nagamura. Whoa, my goodness gracious.
Lord.
So that's I guess the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
So that's it. That's all I got. What do you guys think of the that card? I mean, obviously AJ's still gonna have the belt, so whoever he's fighting on at the Royal Rumble, if he is gonna put the belt up on yeah, that one. Dorks. Oh my God.
I mean, I think what it says, I don't think it means that AJ will have the belt because he could lose it and
That's true.
fight in the 5-way. But the thing that tells me is that none of those guys are going to win the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
So that means a Raw guy is going to win the Royal Rumble, which means I don't know who's going to win the Royal Rumble.
Roman.
Oh no! No!
Oh my God. Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think about it. I don't. It's like I throw my hands up. I go. One of those. Yeah. Just All right. So that's all I got for injury, Rick. I mean, for rumor, what do you got for injuries, Rick?
All right, for injury, Dean Ambrose will be out for up to 9 months with a tricep tear.
Damn. Jesus
Wow, that's
Christ.
just disrespectful.
Very disrespectful.
What I hear from Dean Ambrose, they're saying rumor is that Dean Ambrose is coming back heel, and that's why they did what they did on Raw.
Yeah, I heard that too. So yeah. See what happens.
I don't want to see that.
Jesus, Mimi.
Lord. Kalisto needed stitches.
Did
We
he
got hit with
really?
that water bottle.
Damn.
And they're concerned that he has like a face fracture.
Really?
Damn, how hard did they throw that shit?
It was a full bottle. Well, it had there was shit in it.
Oh, damn.
There was water in it.
There was water in it.
I was like, ew.
Oh my god.
And Brian Kendrick, we don't know if it's a serious injury or not, but was injured due to the GTS by Hideo Itami,
Yeah.
which led to Hideo Itami doing the Rings of Saturn on 205 Live. So is the GTS done?
I think so.
I think so.
So now,
there
when
was-
CM Punk comes back, he can't do it?
Well, they were saying that. What's his name? Brian Kendricks, right?
Break?
Yes.
That he might have an orbital fracture
Damn.
because of that.
If that's the case, they're definitely gonna
Yeah.
not do the GTS.
So
No way.
Lord.
No way.
that means that Punk won't be able to do it either.
That's just rude. Alright, guys. Well, that's all we got for the news, rumors, and injuries. Guys, we need you to go to WrestlingRadioAwards.com and cast your vote for the Wrestling POV podcast for Best New Show, Best Show, also Best Interview. We have had interviews with Cortez Castro. We've had Kenny Casanova. We've had Brian Christopher from Too Cool. We've had Adrian Street. Go back and check it out. Put the votes in for us.
Yes.
Best New Show, Best Interview, Wrestling POV podcast, guys.
And you can vote once a day.
Once a day.
So make sure you vote once a day.
WrestlingRadioAwards.com.
Yes.
Vote.
And if you want to see or listen to some of the past episodes with those interviews, go ahead on iTunes at Wrestling POV Podcast. Give us a 5-star rating. Leave us a comment. And if you say something bad about us, we're going to come to your house and say thank you for writing a comment. We appreciate it.
Exactly.
Wow. So yeah, make sure you guys do that, please. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, that's what I said. So now let's get on to Raw notes. All right. Raw, of course, started out with John Cena coming out to the ring.
Dude, I love him so much. He's like the best in the world. I love John Cena. John Cena's like the best. He's like hustling on the TV. I'm so sorry.
All right. So he comes out, he starts talking, and then gets interrupted by Elias.
I love it.
So did Elias get a nice pop or what?
Oh, yeah.
He got a huge pop. But then, of course, Chicago had to ruin it by chanting CM Punk.
CM Punk! CM Punk!
But Elias handled it well. It looked like he was he didn't know what to do because he kind of looked at John Cena and was like, do I say something? And John Cena took over, and then he said what he said. That's what makes Chicago great because they can say what they want, blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, Elias started to sing. I love the fact that when he gets pissed off and he's like, I don't know what he said. I forgot what he said, but when they kept interrupting him, I don't know what it was. I don't remember, but it was funny.
He just said Chicago sucks.
Yeah, he pretty much said Chicago sucks. And then,
that's the worst place to spend Christmas.
and then when he changed it up and said that he'll do the right thing, he jacks John Cena.
Oh my God, that was funny.
Oh shit! So it ended up being a match with John Cena versus Elias. The match was pretty decent. It was good, but it was just a little bit too long.
Yes, it was.
The crowd
15
started,
minutes.
No, it was longer than that.
No, I'm saying the 15 minutes they spent on that promo.
No. Well, I think
Yeah.
it was a little less than that. Altogether, between the promo and the match was a half an hour. just spent on those two guys.
Well, it's also because it was commercial free for the first hour.
Right. And they did the same thing for SmackDown too. But still, that's still a little bit long for an opening. The crowd started to lose interest towards the end of it, and you can tell John Cena was like, hey, let's take this home right now. And they took it home. John Cena wins with his attitude adjustment.
Elias looked good, though.
He did.
He looked great.
He did. I like the gimmick. I like the fact that he's singing, even though I never was a fan of it, but I like how Elias does it. Very insulting. It's a good way to get heat, and hey, it works. It's starting to work. Next matchup, it was just like what you reported on the injury. Hideo Itami defeated Brian Kendrick after hitting him with the GTS, and of course we saw what happened. Then next it was Absolution versus Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Mickie James. This was a decent match. I like how Paige was acting in this, but it's just a little bit too much of a scaredy cat for her to be a badass. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. I stay away from that.
Yeah.
Or don't do it too much.
And what about Mandy Rose with all that talking?
Yeah, I don't understand what that was. They probably out. Yeah, I think they were her character herself. I think they want her to do a little bit more than what she's doing right now. She's kind of she is a sideline chick, as you can say. She's not really standing out. They want her to stand out. To me, that's what it looks like. But yeah, she did a little bit too much talking.
Word.
Absolution did win. Paige pinned Bayley. What is it with Bayley getting pinned all the time now?
Because Bayley's a little...
Speaking of Bayley, you know that super fan that she has, that little girl?
Mm-hmm.
Yes!
Did you see the video?
Nope.
Yes!
She is now involved. I don't know her name. Do you know her name?
Superfan Bayley.
It's Superfan Bayley. Look it up on the internet. Now she's doing independent scenes.
But she's a little kid.
She's a little kid, exactly.
She's using a kendo stick.
She used a kendo stick out of one, but in the beginning of that, she was managing somebody. She still has the Bayley hairdo, and the heel, whoever he was, I don't know who he was, grabbed her by the hair and pulled her. She played it off well, you know. Then there was another clip. The heel was getting ready to hit the face with a kendo stick. She grabbed the kendo stick away from him and hit him. Started talking shit. I was like, wow, okay, a little bit too young. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in the independent, if you're running independent shows, I don't give a damn how popular that little girl is, she is way too young to be in that ring. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. Very dangerous move. She should wait like everybody else. When you want to start training, I think it's 16, I believe, with parents' consent. Mm-hmm. And even then, you're only limited to so much. A lot of people don't understand, and I hate the word fake when people use that term. Oh, but wrestling's fake. She ain't going to get hurt. Bullshit. After 20 years of doing this shit, I still have a hard time getting out of bed because of the shit that I did in wrestling. I did a lot of hardcore matches.
That's because your wife is be on top of you.
Okay. I did a lot of hardcore matches in my day. I did a lot of stuff that probably I shouldn't have done, but I did it anyway because I love wrestling. You know, I still got scars on my head from the hardcore matches, and bumps and bruises go a long way. And I hate it when people use the fake word because it's not. That little girl should not be in that ring.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely not. I agree.
Period. Too young. But it was just crazy. But anyway, back to Raw. Sorry.
Especially since she's getting more fame than me, and I've been doing it the right way.
Wow, you hit the right button on that one.
I'm saying.
Wow.
That's probably Miguel doing it.
Yeah, could be. All right, so then up next was Kane versus Heath Slater. All right, so where are they going with this? I really want to know. Where'd it go with this Heath Slater and Rhino thing?
Nothing.
Just make Darren Young great again 2.0.
Oh,
Yes,
please,
I
no.
thought the same thing.
No.
Yep.
No.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what I thought. The same thing. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Jesus Christ. No. All right. Anyway, Kane beats him. And then after the match, Rhino gets in the ring, and then Kane sees him. And then it was a little bit of a pop there for Rhino. A little bit. Until he got chokeslammed. So that was funny. So then up next it was Finn Balor versus Kurt Hawkins. What are they doing with Finn? Can somebody
obviously
please tell
nothing.
me? He's not in the storyline. He just comes out just to come out, I guess. Kurt Hawkins still haven't not Hawkins. He still hasn't won a match. And he's acknowledging that too, which I think is funny. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Finn Balor wins if you didn't know. Right? Up next, Bray Wyatt cuts a pretty cool promo. A big pop from Chicago. He starts to come into the ring, and then all of a sudden, Matt Hardy attacks him from behind. I don't know why I thought this was funny, but it was.
That's not how you're supposed to laugh.
No, I'm not doing that laugh because it's annoying. He attacks him from behind. Bray Wyatt then leaves, and then, of course, speaking of the laugh, Matt Hardy does that laugh and delete
What the hell
for a
was
good
that?
2 minutes. He didn't do that before, right?
No, he didn't do that before.
No, when he first did the broken gimmick. I mean, he laughed like that, but he didn't do it for that long.
No.
He didn't do all the vowels.
No, he didn't. Sometimes why?
I'm asking
At the
why.
live show, he was using Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata as his theme.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
I'm not liking it because I love the Moonlight Sonata, but it does not work here. If you put like a remix to it, a little bass or a drum or something to it, then yeah, but just the piano itself does not work well with, I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm willing to give it some time. That's all. I'm not too much though. They're skating on thin ice so far. With it. Up next, it was the Miracle on 34th Street fight. Cedric Alexander, Akira Tozawa, and Mustafa Ali versus Drew Gulak, Arya Daivari, and Enzo Amore dressed as Santa Claus. Don't know why. I get it. It was Christmas. I get it, people. But Alexander won with the lumbar check on Daivari. Next, it was it was for the IC belt. Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns. This match was good. I liked it. Samoa Joe wins by disqualification. Roman went nuts. He went a bit crazy there. After the match. They're saying that they fined Roman $5,000 for putting his hands on the referee.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what honestly, I was hoping Samoa Joe would win to get the belt. He would be a good IC champ for a while, and he would definitely make that belt relevant. He definitely would.
I just don't want him to drop it at the Royal Rumble and then win the Royal Rumble Roman Reigns.
True.
Like, if you're gonna drop the belt, drop it now.
Yeah.
Don't drop it at the Rumble and then, oh my God, he lost his belt, but he won an opportunity at WrestleMania.
Oh wow, you're so. You should be an announcer.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're right. And for Roman to drop the belt, he's got to drop it now, not at the Royal Rumble. If he even defends it, who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, man. Anywho, then Braun Strowman versus Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, who they've been given a lot of TV time this Raw, singing some carols and some is that what it's called? Carols?
Yeah, Christmas carols.
Christmas carols, yeah.
Okay, and So they were in the ring. They didn't know who they were. It was a Secret Santa match, I guess. Braun Strowman
That's
came
pretty
out.
cool. That was a cool thing, but I don't know. I mean, having Braun come out was a little weird.
Yeah. But he beats the crap out of him. But he's getting over. The crowd wanted more power slams, and he gave it to him. He did. Then up next, it was Alexa Bliss. Jesus Christ. I'm done.
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss.
Speaking of Alexa Bliss, Dana Brooke is with Titus Worldwide officially now. So
That's been a few weeks already.
Yeah, well, no, she was actually in a little power suit or whatever, and she was backstage with them.
She did that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
How much you paying?
That's what I said. If you gave it 2 more seconds, I would know.
Speaking of Alexa Bliss, am I going too far ahead about the kiss?
What? What are you talking about?
When?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Enzo Amore.
Enzo Amore.
No, you're not going too far. Go ahead. You can. Go ahead. I forgot
Enzo
about that.
Amore and
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax, Rick's girl. Standing underneath the mistletoe, and they were gonna kiss, and Alexa Bliss, I guess cock blocked it.
What?
Yeah, you did.
Well, first of all, Nia was like she was about to eat his face. Alexa Bliss was like, we have to talk in the ring. But the thing was, she broke up that kiss to talk about what's going to happen in the ring, and her segment wasn't even next. Her segment came 2 times over.
But she had to talk to her about it.
I guess.
You know?
Sure, why not? Oh my god! Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, they got a kiss! No!
Yeah.
And then she saved the day.
yeah. I knew somebody. I was either her or Drew Gulak. It was one of them two. So all right. So now Alexa Bliss is in the ring and said she's been watching the Women's Royal Rumble match. She'd be watching, to see who her opponent would be at WrestleMania. So obviously she's not going to defend the title at Royal Rumble. That makes sense. Then all of a sudden Asuka came out. When Asuka came out, I thought that she was going to challenge her for the belt.
I thought so too.
And I was like, well, obviously Asuka's going to win, which is good. She ain't going to be involved in the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. Makes it a little bit harder decision to find out who would win the Royal Rumble.
Right.
To fight Asuka. But then she says she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. So more than likely, she's going to be the first woman to win the Royal Rumble. Right? I mean, come on, the odds has to be there. I mean,
not if they. Yeah, there's ways around it.
She's never been pinned or submitted. This is a Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
that is true.
And all you need is 3 girls to pick her up and then flip her out.
That is true
Exactly.
too. But I don't know, man. I think she's gonna end up winning it. You can't put her in there not to win.
Listen, I'm gonna listen to Rick because Rick was a 2-time world champion, WPO champion, and
WPO. What the hell is that?
POV, I said.
You said WPO.
Actually, it is the Olympic gold medalist
Oh
approved
Jesus!
Yes.
wrestling POV champion.
No.
Thank you, Kurt. From now on, we'll be calling me that.
No.
Yes, and
Not happening. Have you ever won it? No. You
no,
haven't.
that's why I'm
I
gonna listen
won
to
it.
Rick.
But I
versus
won it. Thank you.
Versus
Thank
you.
I won it.
Olympic gold medalist.
Anyway. Sons
He
of
said,
bitches.
"You ain't no Rick Serrano the third."
Anyway.
Buddy.
He did say it was a joke.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he didn't say it on the radio.
He texted that to me. Anyway,
That doesn't count.
let me finish. You bastards. Jesus.
You did it, buddy.
Wow. All right. Where was I at? I don't even know. Oh, yeah. So Asuka says guys are jerks. So Asuka says she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. And then she gives Alexa Bliss a kick to her head. Yo, she freaking messed her up. Then there was the main event. It was for the Tag Team Championship. Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan versus The Bar. It was an okay match. I mean, you know what? As much as I don't like Jason Jordan, the guy can't work in the ring.
Yeah.
He has been stepping it up lately. I think what I just don't like about him is the gimmick, the way they're handled, the story behind it. To me, that's what I don't like.
It's corny.
No, it is very corny.
then yes, it's very corny. It's
Is that what you said? All right. Then it was a decent match, I guess. I don't know. It was good. Jordan and Rollins were teamed up to return the favor to Kurt Angle for helping the Shield at TLC. Jordan pins Cesaro after a backdrop into a neckbreaker to win the Raw Tag Team Champions. So, new Tag Team Champions, Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan.
What the French toast mother refrigerator?
After the show, after Raw went off the air, Kurt Angle went out to congratulate them both and gave his son a big hug.
That's ridiculous. That's
proud.
Preposterous that they gave the belt to this dude.
Exactly. I don't know, honestly. I don't know what to even think about this. We'll see where they go. It might be an ego boost for Jason Jordan, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the Singabos.
I mean, but you have him as this bratty kid who always gets his way, and he got his way. He got a title out of it.
Sounds like my sibling.
That's your Raw. We'll discuss more about it later after we close it up with the SmackDown breakdown. Before that, we got to take a quick pause for the cause because we have Kenny Casanova will be joining us for an interview about his book with Brutus, the barber, Beefcake. And he's coming up next. So we'll be right back.
Dad, I have to use the bathroom.
This is Lucha Underground's Cortez Castro, and you're listening to Wrestling POV Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back. I told you guys, after 100 episodes, we're going to get bigger and better. And our next guest is just that. He is a former wrestling manager. He's a teacher, a DJ. He is also the author of the Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Struttin' and Cuttin'. He is the Prince of Passion, Kenny Casanova.
Yeah. Now that's an intro.
Right? How's it going, bro?
I'm good. How you guys doing? All right?
Good, man. Good. Did our 100th episode. I'm sorry you had to get bumped over Kurt Angle, though, but...
That was not cool. I am the bigger name, even as he just said. The book first.
Yeah, my bad, you know. But yeah, but you know what? You are our last interview of the year.
Huh? Save the best for last,
yeah.
huh?
So
Save the best for last. You don't have Matt Damon in the works, too, do you?
No, that'll be next year. All right, so the book, Struttin' and Cuttin'. Tell us about it. Where'd you come up with the idea? Just give us the backstory on it.
Yeah, we're talking the Brutus book, right?
Yes.
Because I'm a very refined author, and I also wrote the Kamala book, as you all know, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay, so on the Brutus book, I was just following things up from the Kamala book, and basically the way that the Kamala book worked, real quick, and I'll just take it from there, is that the poor guy lost both of his legs to diabetes, and I had played kimchi a few times for him in different promotions around the Northeast, and I felt bad for him. I was about to put out a sci-fi book, and before I finished that, and I saw this, I said, maybe I should go the nonfiction route. So I just pushed the sci-fi book out as like an ebook. I didn't even bother to print it, and I started working on the Kamala thing, and I learned everything I could about publishing. I wanted to get him a book deal,
right,
so he could make some money to live off of it all. And then I started to find out more and more that things didn't look right. I mean, it seemed to me like you get a publisher, the publisher keeps 2/3 of the money, and then they throw you with a piece of a third, and they throw somebody else to put the book together a piece of a third, and the guy that book's about doesn't walk with anything. I'm like, this is like a big work.
Right.
I mean, I looked at it from like the wrestling, perspective, and we try to work people and make them think they're getting something that they're not really getting sometimes, and I felt like the publishers were doing the same thing. So I started looking into self-publishing, and man, I'll tell you, basically what we did was we set up a Kickstarter. A bunch of people got behind it. Steve Austin put it on his podcast.
Oh, nice.
And Oh, yeah. Steve Austin put the Kamala interview on his podcast, put the book over. Roddy Piper, God bless his soul, he did the same thing. We got him on some of the bigger podcasts. And, I'm behind the scenes writing questions for those guys. So I actually wrote for Steve Austin and for Piper, which is super cool. Feather in my hat,
Yeah.
People threw down something like $17,000 for Kamala, and we put the book out on our own. Now, the books did really well, and let me just give you a perspective of things. If let's say that a guy like Hacksaw Jim Duggan goes with a publisher, he puts a book out, and I'm not slamming anybody in particular here, but he walks with like $8, $9, $10,000 in royalties for the book. Kamala walked with $60,000. 60,
wow.
60. And it helps pay off all of his medical costs. He had all these problems. He had back taxes. You don't get any kind of retirement. He had all kinds of problems going on because he couldn't work. Fixed a bunch of that,
Wow.
So I started thinking to myself, now I'll transition this to the beefcake deal. I'm like, what if I just charge like a couple grand and I'll be like the guy that doesn't make much of the money and I'll flip-flop it. I'll give all the publisher money to the wrestlers. So we came up with the idea that, we don't want to keep doing this with different names. So to help them out. So basically I set up a website. I set up everything that the publisher and the distributor would do, short of being in Barnes & Noble, and we sell the book out, on a website. We sell it at Amazon and all, and then the wrestler keeps 2/3 of the money, and and I just make a couple bones on the side. That's nothing big. It's more like a hobby for me to set it all up.
Right.
But and that's what we're doing with Beefcake right now. So he's the second one that this formula seems to be working with. It's doing the same type of thing.
Right.
We didn't do a Kickstarter because we didn't feel it needed a Kickstarter.
Right.
But we just set it up on a website, and something like we sold, I don't know, something like $7,000 in pre-sales.
Wow.
And we just put it out last Wednesday.
Wow.
Now,
didn't Beefcake approach
it's only been out a
you?
week.
Didn't Beefcake approach you to write the book?
Yeah, and I've had a few others too, and I've also written Vader's book, which is just waiting to go. So what's happening now is Vader is going through and maybe saying, change this word so it sounds more like how I talk, just little superficial stuff. He wants his to come out around WrestleMania time.
Oh.
And I also did Danny Davis's book, and that's the Heart Foundation Danny Davis, not the not the South one, but the one that was with like the referee gimmick in WWF.
Yep.
And his, I did a little bit of something different. Since I don't want to say he didn't have the singles run that some like a Beefcake or a Vader, who was headlining cards. So I was afraid that his book might read a little bit, less accomplished.
Right.
So I wrote that one like a kid's book. So that one's like a young adult novel like you would see in high school. So you get to read him growing up, and like he was a mess. He did all kinds of horrible stuff. He was hanging with a gang, and they were ripping people off. And now the book is really cool because there's like a whole different element to it where it reads like a kid's story, like to teach kids how to develop a work ethic and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been kind of busy. Been writing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Yeah. So Kenny, so you, like you said, you worked on it with Vader. How have you heard anything about his health? Like, can you give us any insight on Vader's health?
He's got a lot of little injuries. I mean, he's had some rough times, and he's doing okay, I think, right now. And he's staying positive. He's trying to cut his weight a little bit, and he was diagnosed with congestive heart disorder, meaning that his heart was swollen and having some problems. And some people can die from that. So he figures if he drops some weight and tries to get healthy and stuff, that he'll lengthen his time with us. And I think something like they told me something like he had 2 years to live. So, but he's doing better. I think he's trying to he's trying to stay good with the healthiness, and that'll help out in the long run. That'll make it life for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was definitely a little scary to hear how it just felt like he was giving up, and it's good to hear that he's not, that he's changing it and he's trying to lose the weight and stuff like that.
I mean, you have to think of it from his perspective too. Man, if you had an expiration date, like, you know you're going to die at a certain time. Now, you got to look at the world a whole different way, you know? So I'm thinking that, like, if you might have seen a tweet where he looked, you know, disappointed in life or something like that, hopefully that's just a passing moment, because I think he's pretty positive, and he's doing the right stuff right now. So I think everything should be good. And he talked to me a couple weeks ago and said, send out that last draft again. I want to go over it one more time. What made him really big in the wrestling world was he was super particular with his matches and how they looked, and, you know, and how his character came off. You know, back then, territorial days, a lot of guys would have a what do they call it? A competitive, not competitive, creative control clause. If you hear that noise, I'm throwing my dog's water bottle right now. I want some water. So he'd have a creative control clause. You know, a lot of the guys would do, like Hogan did it, Ric Flair did. That would say that I will do this, or I will not do this, kind of in certain situations. I will have my hand in how the character runs. Well, I think some of that comes across, you know, with the book, because he wants it to be to sound like him, and you know, so that's why we're really getting it, you know, we're really getting it down to perfection level in his eyes, and I think that's good. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, that's good. But well, hopefully, you know, things turn out for the better for Vader. So just keep us updated, though.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, cool. Now let's go back to the book, Struttin' and Cuttin'. Give us a little detail. I know we're going to want people to buy the book itself, but give us a little bit of what you put in there to tell us more about Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
All right. Let's see. Do you want me to tell like a little story, or do you want me to tell about his life?
Either one. Doesn't matter. Let's go with his life.
Okay, so you guys probably heard a little bit about his parasailing accident. Do you know about that?
No.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I didn't hear about that.
He broke his face,
slowed his whole career down.
Oh, okay, Jesus Christ.
You did?
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, I mean, that's what slowed his whole career down. I mean, he was there with the Dream Team, and I mean, he's tagging with Greg the Hammer Valentine, and he got the tag titles, you know, and they're on top of the world, and they're flying everywhere. They're headlining cards, and you know, it's during the whole rock and wrestling time, and it's during the first, you know, handful of WrestleManias and all. And then they did this thing where they had Dino Bravo started jumping into the group a little bit, and then eventually it became Greg and Dino because of a hair cutting miscue, because adorable Adrian Adonis was there. He accidentally cut Brutus Beefcake's hair in the corner, and then I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's WrestleMania 3, which was the Hogan Andre one.
Yeah. You
know, and also the Steamboat Randy Savage one. You know, so that's a good one to watch, because this also had this in it. And Piper had his retirement match with Adrian Adonis, and there was a hair for hair match. And then Beefcake ran down to the ring to get revenge because Adrian had cut his hair accidentally in another match, didn't care about it, and was pretty rude about the whole thing. And that was the birth of Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Okay.
So after that, Brutus became a singles wrestler, and he's really on top of the world. You know, he started coming to the ring with the scissors. And then, you know, wrestling is everything's larger, so let's give him shears. He's got these big shears so the people up in the cheap seats can see, you know? And, man, he started headlining. In fact, Hogan, when he couldn't do a show, sometimes they were having Beefcake fill in for Hogan, and some of the fans didn't care. You know what I mean? So that really said something, that they weren't asking for the money back. So he was up there. He's big for a period of time in there. Right. But then, you know, the tires come to a screeching halt. He's out at a big 4th of July party. And B. Brian Blair, you know, he's the one that the Iron Sheik wanted to make humble.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he's at the party, brings a girl to the party, and they're rushing to get her up at a parasailing thing. So they got a boat, you know, and they'd already put away the lines. They're like, "Nah, come on, let's get her up. She wants to parasail. We promised her." So they get her up and going, and before you know it, the boat has a miscommunication with them setting her up. The boat takes off too fast,
Oh, wow.
And she goes up and her knees go right into Beefcake's face. And it exploded. I mean, like the bones shattered. They hit him just right. I guess he did what's called a full gainer. It's like a diving term where he actually flipped up in the air. Remember how Fatu used to bump when he took a clothesline? He did like almost one of those deals when she kicked him. And then I guess Brian Blair saw that and was like, whoa, was that like a work or what? You know, he didn't know what was going on. So they ran down. And if Beefcake had gone unconscious from that, he might have drowned because there's no one there. He would have been in the water. But he didn't go unconscious. And they went down, they pulled him out of the water, and he had to hold the inside of his palate, you know, the roof of his mouth, because it collapsed. He had to hold it up with his mouth so he could breathe. And, like, man, they brought him to the hospital, and the hospital wasn't prepared for that type of surgery that needed to be done. And they're calling everyone in the middle of the night trying to find the right guy. They find a specialist, and he made it there. And I guess his son, they contacted his son first at a college. And the son called the specialist and said, Dad, Brutus is hurt. You got to go help Brutus the barber. And his dad, what are you talking about? He didn't follow or something. Yeah. He showed up, and I guess they got the right guy. I mean, they had to rebuild his face. They brought in, like, trailers and trailers of equipment, like these tractor trailer, you know, they pull them in, and they had to redesign his face. And this is at a time when, you know, they didn't have the fancy computers and, you know, the scanning technology we have today. So the titanium, something like 100 screws and plates and all of this went into his face. Damn. You know? So that slowed him down. And then when that happened, I mean, he was gone for a bit. He came back. They had him do like a Piper's Pit thing when Piper left the second time, and he was doing the barbershop, you know. And so that was the tail end of his big WWE run. And then eventually went to WCW and just did some little stuff. As he was a good friend of Hulk Hogan, and he just kind of was, you know, hanging out with him on the road. He did like the Zodiac, and he did the Disciple with the NWO, and the Booty Man, and a couple of goofy gimmicks that pretty much Hogan had that creative clause that I was telling you about. And he just kind of wrote him into the scripts and stuff, so we'd have a travel buddy with him.
Wow.
All right, Kenny. So my last question, the most important one.
So, well, what was you saying, Ken? What happened after that?
No, I just said, so yeah, that's a tough story to throw at you, but neat thing about it, though, and then we'll go on to the next question, is that B. Brian Blair wrote a guest chapter in the book, telling his perspective of that, you know, and then also Marty Jannetty, who was famous in the barbershop when Shawn Michaels broke up with him and kicked him through the glass. You may remember that. We had Marty Jannetty tell his perspective of that story, too, so he has a guest chapter in the book as well. And later on he had a feud against DDP, and DDP has a guest chapter in the book. So it's That's like cool. 400 pages. Real thick book, nice read. Got a lot of different perspectives and quotes in there from all kinds of people. The foreword is written by Wade Boggs.
Really?
Who played baseball. Yeah, man. And I had to interview Wade Boggs. I mean, I was like, you know, it's kind of like making the poop emoji in my shorts when I had to call that guy, because I'm like, I talk to wrestlers all the time. That's a different level and a different type of person.
Yeah.
So Brutus just calls me one day. He's like, brother, we got the foreword for the book. I'm like, who is it? Wade Boggs. I'm like, what? I'm like, Wade Boggs. He's like, yeah, brother, you got to call him. Call him right now and interview him. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm calling up Wade Boggs, who I don't know if you guys are baseball fans, but he's a big name. He was huge. Yeah, he was huge with the Red Sox, right? And then he went over to the Yankees after that. So he played both sides there.
Yep. He's famous for riding the horse at the World Series.
Yeah. Totally. Turns out that they played Little League together.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, they were on the same Little League team.
That's
crazy.
Awesome.
And funny, he explains years later he meets up with Brutus backstage at a wrestling show. Didn't know that Brutus Beefcake was Ed Leslie, and his son had a Brutus Beefcake action figure, and he never made the connection that this is the same guy who's playing Little League.
Wow.
It's a pretty cool story, man. It's a neat forward.
That is pretty cool. That is cool.
Well,
yep.
Kenny, I myself am going into the world of professional wrestling. I'm trying to become a manager. You, as a former manager, what advice do you have for someone like me?
Okay. Yeah, man, I'll tell you. Okay, so what I always told people, I only really trained one other manager. I didn't want to give too many of the secrets out there, but I'm not. That's just because I didn't want to compete with anybody else. But one of the whole things is do not steal heat. You're going to get your time on the mic. You're basically the voice of the wrestler. But during the match, when they're wrestling and they're doing stuff in the middle of the ring, a bad manager will go over and start like jaw-jacking the audience, or like doing something goofy or something to get heat. If you pull the heat away from the guys while they're doing a spot in the ring, they're not going to want to work with you anymore. And it also makes for a divided attention issue with the audience. They don't know if they should be looking in the ring or if they should be looking at you. Yeah. So the only time I say to do any of your character stuff, which is during a rest hold during the match, or if you have a spot. That's one of the big things. I can't stress that enough. I see it even on TV today. That when there's a manager type position, they don't follow that sometimes, and the matches end up looking like a cluster. So.
It's true. That's very much true. Yeah. So there's your advice, Rick.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Kenny, I have this question. It's been bothering me for a while since you put this book out. I've been reading all over the internet that Hulk Hogan has a problem with you putting this book out, or actually a problem with Brutus. What's the deal there? What's the tension? Did Brutus spill some beans on the Hulkster? What's going on with that? I know, like I said, we want people to buy the book, but what's going on?
I'll give you this much. Day before Halloween, I start getting these emails from a guy named Dave Houston, who's Hulk Hogan's legit lawyer, the same guy who handled the Gawker trial. Yeah. And this is no secret, because I tried to stay out of heat, because I was a Hulkamaniac when I was a kid. I didn't, but they've been kind of a bit on the outs, which is unfortunate. And I've heard from both sides that they wish they could kind of like mend things up and get things back together. But there was some kind of argument, and it's not my place to give you online or live here on a podcast what the argument was over. But the heat was really between Beefcake's new wife and Hulk Hogan. They had a falling out, and I think that Hogan's camp didn't want that information in the book. So man, they called me up. They left a message. I called them back. I actually read them sections of the book, and I think they didn't like the stories that I said, but it wasn't the issue that they were mostly concerned about. That's not in the book, so I don't think that there will be any sort of legal proceedings or anything to the effect. I think I squashed it all, and I also explained to them that I'm really just in it to try to help the boys make some money later on in life. That's kind of the new mission of me doing this hobby is not to make big bucks off the books or be a publisher or anything, but it's to try to help the guys out. And I'm not there to squash Hogan either, because honestly, back in I don't even know. Let me think. It'd probably be 84, 85. I was a kid at ringside. My dad was bringing me to a wrestling show at Rhode Island, and Hulk Hogan was there, and he was tagging with Junkyard Dog, and they had the Haiti Kid in the corner. If you remember him, like a little Mr. T looking guy. Yep. And they were taking on the Funk Brothers, and Hulk Hogan ripped his shirt off, and he threw it, and I caught it. And today, some 30-something years later, that's still on my wall. So no way was I going to bury Hulk Hogan in the book, you know what I mean? Right. However, there are road stories in the book, that predate him being married to Linda, and, they were single, and there was some, there's some good stories in there that have some dirt, but there's not anything I think that is going to hurt Hogan. Now, see, the big thing on that, again, was that Hogan went through that Gawker trial. Yeah. And they didn't want anything that was going to throw shade on Hogan after he's been trying to repair his name. Oh, okay. With Gawker and all that stuff that happened there. So they were pretty much, and this was out there, they took pictures of this. They put the warning. Beefcake and his wife put the warnings online at one point, I think, during the Twitter war, showing them, say, look, we don't want to sue you, but if you try to wreck his name and everything we've been working on, and you're telling untruthful stuff, then we will sue you. So here I'm like, oh, I don't want to fight Hogan's lawyer.
Right? Yeah. No, I saw that tweet too. That's why I was like, what the hell is going on, man? Is Hogan like trying to hide something, or because at one time they were both best friends, weren't they?
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said before, Hogan was booking him some in WCW. He was bringing him in to try to give him, probably payday and hook him up. And Beefcake, appreciates that stuff. Now again, Beefcake was his own wrestler. I mean, he was headlining cards that Hulk Hogan wasn't on, and Beefcake was his own guy. But there were periods of time where, they both worked off of each other and helped each other quite a bit early on in their careers. Right. And Beefcake was always grateful for the help that Hogan gave him, and vice versa, I believe. So, it's unfortunate that the friendship isn't there right now, but time always mends everything, and I like to stay positive and hope that at some point they'll repair that, and they'll be able to move on and not have wasted 30 years of a good friendship on just some silly argument.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Kenny, my last question for you: do you have any wrestlers in mind that you want to work with on a book with for the future?
Okay. Quite possible Honky Tonk Man might be next.
Nice.
Right now, about a year or so ago, I booked out Hacksaw Jim Duggan up here, helped him do like an autograph signing for his book, along with his one-man show. So he did a comedy act in a bunch of comedy clubs up in the upstate New York area. And then Honky contacted me maybe it was late November, around Thanksgiving this year, and he's all like, hey, no, I know you hooked up Hacksaw, but you think you can get Honky Tonk Man in any of these? And I'm like, well, yeah, probably. What do you think? Can you set me up with some dates in January? So I said, yeah, and I got him a good 6 or 7 gigs, I think, up here come middle of January, so January 15th, 16th, 17th, somewhere in there. You guys where are you down? You're down in Brooklyn area?
I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah, Rick's down in Manhattan. I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, well, anyhow, the Manhattan, the only one that's close to that, there's a near Long Island date at a place called Emerald Comics. I think it's at Bellport, something like that.
Right.
Okay.
You familiar with that place? Anyways,
I know Belfort.
Yeah. So it's in Bellport. There's a comic book store that he's going to be doing he's going to be kicking off his one-man show down there, I think, at a comic store. He's doing a signing. Then he's headed up to Albany and Glens Falls and Utica and a bunch of places that Tony would probably remember in his older days up here. So you're in New Mexico now?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew you moved, but I didn't remember that you moved there. Why did you move that far away?
My wife had a job offered down here, so the kids are all grown, and we took our opportunity to leave New York and leave the cold weather to you guys.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You guys might not realize it. Not everybody might know that Tony and I go way back. Like I said before, he took a power bomb for me, or maybe I took one for him, something like that.
No, I took one from you.
And Tony even had me at his wedding, though I made him pay for an appearance fee. I still showed up to his wedding. The solid person that I am.
Yeah, we go way back. Mid-90s, right?
Something like that.
So around the mid-90s, and one of the things there's so many stories. Actually, I've said them on the show too. Some of the stories, a few of them, like the one you just mentioned, was we was all sitting in the locker room, and it was Sid Vicious. He was wrestling this guy called Danger, and Danger was a good friend of mine, good friend of Kenny's, and we was all sitting in the locker room, and Kenny was managing Danger at the time. So we're all sitting in the locker room, and then all of a sudden Sid comes out, and he's like, looks at Kenny, and he goes, "You want to take a power bomb from me?" And then Kenny was like, "Yeah, I'll take one from you." And then he goes, "Who else?" And I looked, I said, "Yeah, I'll take one too." So then Sid was like, "All right, so after I power bomb him, then you come in to try to make the save, and then I'll power bomb you." So I was like, "All right, sure." I had nothing to do with that storyline. I was just coming in to take the power bomb. I didn't care.
He just wanted a powerbomb. That was it.
It was good, and I couldn't remember because another friend of ours too. He goes by Hot Bob Todd. He was a referee, and after I took the powerbomb, like Todd just kept slapping me in the face. He kept saying, he goes, dude, sell the shit out of it, man. Just keep selling the shit out of it. You know, making it look like he's asking if I'm okay, but he wanted me to sell it as much as I could. It was a funny moment. The other one that I always remember, it was when it was a wrestling organization we wrestled for. It was called New Breed Wrestling. And it was the very first show in Amsterdam. We had Jimmy Superfly Snooker on the show. And we were in the back again, another locker room story. And Kenny comes up and he goes to all the workers, all of us wrestlers, and he goes, all right, I need everybody to follow along. So we were like, okay, Kenny's got something up his sleeve. So Jimmy Snuka is sitting there with a cigarette, and Kenny made no sense at all, but he just was singing this song. And you remember what I'm talking about, Kenny?
Is this the Bona song?
Yes, the Bona song.
Oh my God. All right, keep telling it.
So he kept, all of a sudden Kenny comes out, he goes, Bo-na-na, it's the Bo-na-na. So then we all follow suit and singing that song that made absolutely no sense at all. It had no rhythm. Well, no, it actually did have rhythm, but
it was kind of like a blues song.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of like Sweet Home Chicago.
Yeah. Exactly. So then all of a sudden Snooker just comes out of nowhere and just starts singing the song with us.
We got Snooker to sing about an erection, and that was pretty
right. Oh man, it was just.
I don't know if he knew what he was even singing though. He just started.
He didn't. That was the funny thing about it. He had no
that's what's
clue.
up.
Oh man, but those are just some of the stories. God, if I told every single one of them, it would. I mean, we're already rated R though, so I don't think it would mind. The Naked Bushwhackers, one of them. You remember that one, right, Kenny?
I'll send you. Actually, you remember Buttery Bird? He found a videotape of the incident that you're talking about. So
I have it.
But you have it.
Yeah, it was with my camera.
Nice.
Yeah, so we have. There's a lot of fun times, and Rick, you're getting into this the world of professional wrestling, and there's going to be a lot of locker room banter, and just soak it in. It's a lot of fun. I had such a great time with the road trips. Everything.
The thing that was cool is we were in it when there was it still was just before like all the millions of indies started breaking out everywhere.
Exactly.
So like when we did shows, there was still a ton of guys on them that you saw on TV still. Like they'd just gotten off TV in a lot of cases.
Yep.
And it wasn't like today where you're lucky if you get one name on a show or something like that. You know, we were working with tons of cool names, and they would show us how, you know, they would kind of show us the way and pass the torch a little bit. And I got to work early on with Bam Bam Bigelow, and he was showing me some manager spots early. Yep. We worked with all kinds of people that, you know, a lot of them are dead now, though.
I know, right? Oh, wait, you know what? Now that we're reminiscing, I got to bring this out. And you got to tell me more of the story on it. I've always wanted it to know. Now, back in the day, of course, New Breed Wrestling, it was probably the hottest wrestling show all over. We always had King Kong Bundy on the show.
Yeah.
Kenny, you messed with this man so bad that he went after you a few times.
Oh, he beat me up a couple times too, but that's all right. I mean, not real bad. Like he would throw work punches, but I think it's just because he forgot that if you really fight, you actually connect. So I think he wanted to hit me, but he just wasn't paying attention. Right. I don't know. I would just hit him with crazy Mark stuff. In fact, for your listeners, if you want to hear what we're talking about, I did eventually upload a song that I sang called "I'll Take the Five," you know, like the 5 count. People that remember King Kong Bundy, he used to like do this gimmick where he would pin you 3, and then he'd make the ref count 2 more, so you knew you were beat by King Kong Bundy. So I recorded this song about how my whole thing was I always pretended I was marking out to Bundy. Like in the locker room, how I loved him. I wanted to hug him and hold him, and he'd just get pissed. He'd beat me up. He's this big, huge dude, right? So Also, being a DJ, we mentioned that before. I'm a wedding DJ, and you can check out my services at thedjservice.com in upstate New York. Quick plug, shameless. I did karaoke stuff, so I sang the song "I Will Survive," but we changed it to "I'll Take the 5," and it's me singing about how I want King Kong Bundy to pin me for 5 and I'm that big of a hard form. So the whole song is like rattling off a bunch of wrestlers that I beat. I supposedly beat, but even though I'm such a huge name, I still would take the 5 count for King Kong Bundy because he's the man. So I just rattle off like all these names, and I make all the wrestlers' names rhyme like kind of strategically. It's pretty cool. It's on YouTube. You can find it, I think.
Yeah, definitely tag me on it. That way I'll post it on our Facebook page.
All right.
Definitely.
Yeah, I got it. That was the only thing I always remembered in my NBW days was the fact that Kenny always fucked with King Kong Bundy, and I was like, dude, why you always mess with? And then I look at King Kong Bundy, he was ready to kill Kenny. Like, he was really, like, going after it, and then all I see was Kenny booking it out the door. It was the funniest fucking thing.
I've tried to get him to let me do his book, and he a couple times has come close, and he's thinking about doing it, so I might do his eventually. I don't know. But recently, I contacted him, got him to do a couple of quotes in Beefcake's book, because a lot of my chapters start with like a quote, from one of the wrestlers in the chapter, or something related to that area. I tried to get a lot of other perspectives in there. So he says to me, he's horrible. Bundy's horrible at first. He's like, can I swear on this? Can you beep something out? I can clean it up if you want. You want me to clean it up? Because I'm about to quote Bundy, and he says something foul. So I'll clean it up.
We're rated R, so go ahead.
He goes, he's like, you don't even need a quote from me. You want a quote? Beefcake pretty much just sucked Hogan's dick the whole time and never mounted anything other than that. There's your quote. He's like, let me write the book and I'll just write that. There's your book. That's about the gist of what he said when I first called him to ask him for a quote for the book. I'm like, dude, serious? I can't put that in the book. He's like, that's all he did, man. He just kind of sucked Hogan's dick and that was it. I'm like,
Jesus Christ.
And like, yeah, man, it took me a while to get a real quote out of him, and then eventually I did. And, a lot of the fans, so Beefcake hates that. A lot of fans have said that in the past, and it's totally not the case at all.
Right.
That Beefcake was just Hogan's whipping boy. In fact, it really stems from the idea that what happened was early on in his career, Beefcake tagged with Hogan. They were called the Boulder Brothers, and this is before Hulk Hogan existed.
Really?
And they went to school together. They went to the same high school. And yeah, man. So afterwards, when Hogan started taking some wrestling lessons and stuff, and he got his leg broken by a Japanese guy whose name's evaded me right now, but Beefcake pushed him, come on, go back in, because Beefcake wanted to eventually ride his coattails and then get into wrestling school, learn how to wrestle, so he can be a wrestler too,
Right.
And I think that whole idea of like Hogan helping him out to break in a little bit just kind of stuck with him forever. When they were friends and they hung out everywhere, Hogan was, he took off because the guy was a monster, and he was like 6'7" or something,
right,
350 pounds. This guy was huge, so.
Yeah.
So people often pitted him as being his lackey, but he really wasn't, Yeah. And that's why Beefcake threw that quote out there originally, and I didn't mix that until I got a real one out of him.
Wow, that's funny. All right, Kenny, tell the people where they can find you, where they can find the book, give the websites, your Twitter handle, Facebook, all of it.
All right, so you can find me. You can go to KennyCasanova.com, and you'll see that right on the front page, you'll find all the different things that I do, the DJing and the book writing and, and the wrestling and all that. But basically, book sites, go to WOHW.com. That stands for Walking on Hot Waffles. That's my publisher name. Tony's laughing because it used to stand for something else.
Yeah.
I just recycled it and changed the acronym. WOHW.com, Walking on Hot Waffles is what it stands for. That's my publishing company. We're an anti-publisher that self-publishes and gives the money back to the wrestlers when they write the books with us. And also make websites to help them with the distribution. You can find me on Twitter as Kenny Casanova. You can find me on Facebook as Kenny Casanova. Also Instagram. I've had the name long enough that there aren't any Hawaiian escort services or something like that trying to take the name. Where else can you find me? You can usually find me at the Dragon Buffet in upstate New York, getting some delicious Chinese food on Wednesdays when it's half off. And yeah, that's probably good. You can check me out at the DJService.com if you want to see my wedding services that I charged Tony Militia for.
Yeah. Jesus, sweet deal. All right, Kenny, thanks for being on the show. When your next book come out, definitely come back on.
Sounds good. And buy Brutus's book right now at BrutusBeefcake.com.
There you go. And I promise you won't get bumped over Kurt Angle.
Again. Oh, man.
Again.
Maybe for Roman Reigns.
Yeah, for Roman Reigns, yeah. Mimi had to chime in. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Or actually, we're going to take a pause, not a commercial. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause. When we come back, Rick is going to go over SmackDown Breakdown. We'll be right back.
Yo. This right here is former WWE World Tag Team Champion, Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher. And when I'm going to listen to a podcast, I'm going to listen to the best. And if you want to listen to the best, you're going to tune in, listen to Tony and Rick at Wrestling POV Podcast. Yeah.
And we are back, and ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the reveal of who won the top 10 rankings of December. Tony Diaz gave out his top 10, and then Mimi altered it, and then I altered Mimi's top 10 of Tony's alteration.
Yes.
So, now it is time to see who won. Was it Rick? Was it Tony? Was it Mimi? And ladies and gentlemen, the votes are in. And congratulations to the two-time winner of the top 10 rankings. He is the Olympic gold medalist, approved wrestling POV champion, Rick Serrano III.
Oh, Lord.
Boo.
Your own little chant there, Rick. Your own little chant.
Rick sucks.
Jesus Christ.
Rick sucks.
The people voted. Thank you, people, for voting. It was great. My top 10 was at number 10, Kevin Owens. At number 9, Cody Rhodes. At number 8, Pete Dunne. At number 7, Okada. At number 6, Kenny Omega. At number 5, Tanahashi. At number 4, Samoa Joe. At number 3, Prince Puma. At number 2, Aleister Black. And at number 1, AJ Styles.
Yeah. I think you had the UK vote because you put Pete Dunne in there.
Yep.
I think that's what happened. Seriously.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what he did. See, he was trying to be slick. He puts Pete Dunne in there so he could get the UK vote. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I'm just saying.
I know.
What happened was the Wrestling POV podcast is affiliated with Collar and Elbow Brand. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com and get yourself 10% off by using promo code WPOV.
Yes.
Guys, the holidays are not over yet, man. Go ahead and go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Get some holiday goodies with the Collar and Elbow Brand logo all over it. Come on, guys. 10% off. WPOV promo code.
Yeah. WPOV.
Promo code. Yeah.
WPOV.
Promo code.
What is WPOV? Like why do you call yourselves that? Like that's kind of weird. Like I don't know. That's a little weird.
We are live on the radio.
How don't you know this? This is Wrestling POV podcast. What kind of son are you? Excuse me. At least I didn't abandon my son. All right.
Damn.
What are you talking about? I'm sorry. I didn't know. Dude, don't even go there. Okay.
This is like better than the telenovelas.
Right? It's better than Raw. No. Jesus.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna start with the SmackDown breakdown.
Breakdown. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Break it down. Degenerate into something cool. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. Like a freak boy, yeah. Like a freak little man. Break it down. Degeneration.
Would you take it down a notch, Spaz?
Oh my god, like that's so awesome. Like you really have a really good singing voice. Like I wish I could sound like you. Like that's so awesome that you sound like that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So the kiss ass runs in the family, huh? Alright, SmackDown opens up with Daniel Bryan making an announcement about the US title tournament, where Bobby Roode and Baron Corbin will open up the tournament with the first match.
Yeah.
So Dolph is gone for now.
Yeah. And from what I heard from that is that they're playing that up because of the fact that, as everybody knows, that he was sending out tweets.
I was waiting for you to say twats again.
Damn. What was I saying?
He was sending out tweets.
Yeah, he was sending out tweets
twatting
about he's getting ready to leave and this and that, and they're going off of that. So it's all the work. Sorry. All the work.
Got him.
All the work.
Oh, speaking of got him.
What?
That sign.
What sign?
Never mind.
You don't remember the sign?
The got him sign. One of the wrestling matches.
Okay.
Never mind.
Go ahead, Rick.
Lord. All right. Speaking of getting interrupted, Daniel Bryan got interrupted by Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
Who say they deserve the tag titles. And then they get interrupted by Rusev and Aiden English, who got the biggest pop of the night.
But even before they came out.
Yeah.
Even before they came out, they were saying Rusev Day. Let me tell you something. That it's getting over. Huge. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's a New York thing. Please stop.
What are you talking about?
Billy Fusello. Huge.
All right, we're giving them free advertising.
Oh,
here.
that's all right.
No.
All right.
All right.
All right.
You want to be our sponsors, Billy?
Then we had.
I'll be huge all day.
You guys done?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's what my wife say. Oh my goodness.
He's the only one who believes that.
You damn right I do. Makes me happy. Before I say something else.
That's what happens when he uses the makeup mirror. 10 times the size.
That's fucked up.
Okay, so Daniel Bryan also gets interrupted by the New Day, and I'm getting sick of the New Day asking for title shots. It's ridiculous now. You do nothing.
Let me
explain something.
When the Usos been tag champs for a while now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When they fought the New Day at Hell in a Cell, the next day not the next day, but on SmackDown, didn't they say that was the last time they would wrestle them?
Yep.
Yes,
to give other people opportunities. So then why the hell is New Day keep coming back?
We don't know.
Because they don't want to give other people opportunity because they're a bunch of greedy motherfuckers. I didn't speak Spanish.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
Ridiculous.
Well, Daniel Bryan said the three teams will fight each other and we'll have a number one contenders match right now, and they'll fight the Usos next week for the tag titles.
Yeah.
And can we give props to Chad Gable?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is that, and it goes back to what you said. I think it was last week you said it, Rick, when the Usos. I mean, they're talking about the Uso penitentiary and all this other stuff. So are they heels or are they faces?
I don't know.
My opinion, obviously Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, they're heels now.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
You look at Rusev and Aiden English. They're running as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
I believe so too.
In this match, I know I'm getting ahead, but in this match, wouldn't you think it would make sense because the hot team right now is Rusev and Aiden English? Wouldn't you have them go up against the Usos to make the Usos back into the heel where they're supposed to be?
Mm-hmm.
would make sense, right?
It would.
It would.
Go ahead,
Yo,
Rick.
Tony, you be making sense sometimes, man.
You know,
Like, you should be making dollars. You know what I'm saying? All that sense you be making.
all the sense. Yeah, I was about to say.
And all he makes is sense.
Next. Go ahead,
Too bad the only sense he doesn't have is common.
I don't like you guys no more. All right, no more of that, please.
All right, so next up, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are both backstage, and Shane is upset that Daniel Bryan compared him to Vince. Well, don't act like an asshole, and you will get compared to one.
Exactly.
Then he's upset about the U.S. tournament. Why not just give the match to Corbin and Bobby Roode? And then why not? Why didn't you ban Sami Zayn from the match against AJ? Like, bro,
Right.
get the stick out of your ass and get over it, man.
Exactly.
Like, relax.
Yeah, but he hated his father so much.
His
he
father.
That's what I just said. And he got so mad. And then he's like, well, you know, he is my father. What the fuck? So what? You hated the man. You don't want to be like him.
What are you guys talking about?
You know what? You know what?
This is going to be the Mimi and Tony show. I mean, Mimi and Ricky show.
Sure.
Yeah. The M&R. What?
The R&M.
RM.
RM.
Yeah, so listen. But seriously, like, Shane McMahon is doing more turns than the Big Show right now.
I
That's what it
know.
looks like,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. But the thing is, they have a big opportunity here to do something with it, and I just think that all of a sudden they're like,
They
let's
dropping
just
the
let it
ball.
go. You know what I'm saying? It looks like they're saying, let it go.
I know.
That's what it looks like to
I
me.
know. I don't like.
Unless something's going to happen. But
Yeah, and it's going to be something predictable like it always is.
I don't think it is, because if it was, I thought for sure that Shane was going to attack Daniel Bryan at the last little pay-per-view they had.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel's still not cleared yet, according to sources.
Yes,
Really?
that's why.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
See?
All right.
I told you.
well, next up, the Bludgeon Brothers versus Breezango. Speaking
Yeah.
of told you so, I told you so.
True.
The
True.
Bludgeon Brothers win by DQ because the Ascension came out and attacked the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah.
So, are we looking at Bludgeon Brothers versus the Ascension?
Yeah.
I think so, and I'm actually excited about it. I think it's going to be a good match.
I think so too. I really do. Yep.
But one thing was missing from this episode of SmackDown, and that was, once again, Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe he went to buy dark clothes.
Taking my advice.
Yeah.
Hey Vince, man, I was just listening to the Wrestling POV podcast, and they said I need to start wearing dark clothes. What do you think, man? All right, man, I'm on my way.
Here's $5,000. Go get yourself
I know,
some new
right?
outfits.
Vince was like, "What are you doing listening to the Wrestling POV podcast?
No, because it has to do with wrestling.
It has to do with wrestling.
It has to do with Vince gets really anal when they're on the bus or something touring, and they're not watching or listening to anything wrestling. If they're watching like a TV show, he'll be like, "How come you're not watching wrestling?" You know, so he is like that. So, anyway,
Anyways.
Yeah. Tony knows because him and Vince are friends.
you damn right.
They're butt buddies.
Hey. Damn.
I got pictures to prove
No,
it.
you don't. Shit. No, you do not.
Yes, I do.
$1,000 starting price.
That ain't happening.
Next up, we had Ruby Riott versus Naomi, and Ruby announces she's going to be the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Off distractions by Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, Ruby hits the Riott kick, and the Riott Squad attack Naomi after the match.
So,
And
how much do you want to make a bet that at the Royal Rumble, the Riott Squad is going to be face to face with Absolution? How much you want to bet?
Okay.
How much you want to bet?
How much you want to bet?
How much you want to bet?
The Absolution and the Riott Squad are going to be faced off, and they're going to be surrounded by the rest of the women's locker room.
Ooh.
Okay, sure. All right.
And they're gonna team up.
Okay.
All right.
They'll team up with each other.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
So is it me or is it everybody else that think that the Riot Squad is like the ugly duckling of?
Jesus Christ.
If you listen to episode number 96, Rick Serrano III said that.
Damn, I mean, he's just taking all of
I
this.
know.
He was just like,
I'm saying.
you did not say it first. I said it first.
I know. He's
said
like,
it first. Everything you're thinking right now, I already said it.
Is Vince there?
I
What
thought
you want for dinner right now, I already said it.
Yeah.
They are 2 hours ahead.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
They're in the future.
The future is now. So the Riot Squad jumped Naomi, and then they took out Charlotte, and then Natalya, Tamina, Lana, and Carmella come out, and the Riot Squad retreats, but then they got attacked by them, and they ran away. Like little bitches. I mean, Lana looked good. I really think that girl Tamina, she looks really good too. I mean, she's kind of cute.
What?
She is.
You are your father's son.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's true.
Yeah, so Renee Young was backstage with AJ Styles, and AJ says 2018 won't be different than 2017 because SmackDown Live will still be the house that AJ Styles built.
Yep.
Then we had Bobby Roode versus Baron Corbin,
Yep. Good match.
and that was a really good match. I really enjoyed it. But Bobby Roode looked extra crispy, though.
Yeah, he did.
That tan was way too dark.
Yeah.
He is a little bit crispy.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little overdone, you know what I'm saying?
He didn't want the original. He wanted extra crispy.
Hey KFC, you want to sponsor us? You already know. Make money. Give me a
It's Church's
bucket,
fried
bro.
chicken.
No churches. We don't got no churches.
Yeah, we do.
Well, yeah, we got the Iglesias, but we don't got
Lord.
Wow.
But Bobby Roode ended up winning, and don't you think it was kind of early for these two to fight? I mean,
I think so too.
Yeah.
First round.
No, but let's go backtrack a little bit with the Shane and Daniel Bryan thing. Do you think Shane was right by saying that? You know what? If Dolph Ziggler relinquished the title, shouldn't it go back to Baron Corbin, or should? Is that what he said, or did he say them two should fight for the title?
They should fight.
He said
So that would,
one or the other.
but either one of those makes sense.
Yes.
Instead of doing a tournament now,
Yes.
right?
No, I prefer a tournament because I'm sick of Bobby Roode and Corbin.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because the whole rematch clause. Since Baron Corbin was the title holder, he should get that rematch.
Exactly.
So either if you do the tournament, have Baron Corbin be in the finals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To fight for that belt, because then that'll be his rematch clause. Correct or no?
Right.
Makes sense?
I think it makes sense, but I think what they're trying to do is trying to build a little stable with Shane McMahon. So it'll be like a Shane versus Daniel thing. Like maybe like Baron be his enforcer and stuff.
Yeah, but I just don't like the fact that Baron lost.
Yeah, no.
You know,
if
they put Bobby Roode in with somebody else, then I can see that. But to jump ahead a little bit, because the other qualifying match, it was Jinder Mahal versus the Perfect 10.
Yeah.
Nothing against Ty Dillinger, but Jesus, really? Let's make it a little bit more obvious, why don't you? By letting us know that the two finalists is going to be Jinder Mahal and Bobby Roode for the U.S. title. So now, but the thing of it is, like before Jinder was involved in this, when Bobby Roode won, I'm like, he's winning the title.
Yeah.
Now that Jinder's in it, it's a good chance that motherfucker can win it.
Yep. And don't forget, we still have 4 more competitors next week.
Yeah.
So it's a 8-man tournament altogether. And yes, like you said, Jinder Mahal ended up beating Ty Dillinger. And the good thing about Jinder's win was there was no interference by the Singh brothers.
No, none at all.
So,
which was fine.
You didn't need any
it's absolutely
interference.
that's what he needed.
Yeah. True.
Next up, we had Renee Young with Randy Orton, who says he's in the Royal Rumble, as well as Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep.
He needs to take that mouthpiece out of his mouth when he talks.
He does.
Cesaro's way worse.
Oh yeah, Cesaro too. I'm always saying about why the fuck you put that shit in your mouth.
I heard because I heard because Vince thinks it's funny. That's what I heard.
Oh, that's so funny!
That's hilarious. Cesaro, keep that mouthpiece in. I laughed. It's funny.
On to the next one.
Alright, the main event, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. These guys put on a great match every single time they're out there. Sami Zayn distracts the ref, and Shane McMahon got him ejected, and while the ref was distracted by that, AJ pinned Kevin Owens for a 5 count, but the ref didn't see it, and then Kevin Owens steals it with a schoolboy pin.
But he was pulling on AJ's pants. He pulled down AJ's pants.
Did you see that? I didn't see that.
Yes, he did.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
See?
All right. Take it down.
But that's what you get, Shane. And then AJ looked at Shane, and Shane was like, "Sorry, champ. Like, you're such a dick. Like, you're such a dick, Shane McMahon. Like, you're not even really sorry. You looked at him and shrugged your shoulders and said, sorry, champ.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
He said, fuck you.
Damn.
Like, I'm sick of Shane McMahon. He reminds me so much of people that I've worked for in the past and possible present. I don't want to say present because, you'll probably be listening. But, like, you're so condescending. Like, yo, grow up, bro.
I know, right? It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, that is it for SmackDown. It's now time for Raw versus SmackDown.
Yes. All right.
Raw is currently ahead 21-15, and every Tuesday we have a vote on our Twitter page at WrestlingPOV, and you guys get to vote whether you thought Raw or SmackDown was better. This is the last Raw and SmackDown of the year, so it's very important for you guys to cast a vote, and you guys did vote, and your votes are in. 67% of the fans voted for SmackDown Live this week.
Nice.
Oh, yeah!
All right. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, you go first.
I am going 1,000% for SmackDown Live.
All righty. Mimi.
And I'm going 1,001% for SmackDown Live.
Alrighty, I agree too. I mean, SmackDown was just that much better. And you know what I thought brought it over the top was just the fact that even though they still try to chant CM Punk, fucking Chicago, get it right. I mean, seriously, it's not funny anymore. It really isn't. It's like it's getting annoying.
It's funny because I watch you get really mad.
Yeah. So. It's just annoying, but it's just the fact that Rusev got a big pop, and he really, really deserves it. So I agree.
Rusev Day. I want that shirt.
Okay.
I want that shirt.
Go buy it. All right. So what's that now?
21-16.
Damn. Dude. Jesus Christ, that was my ear.
21-16. The next time Tony will win the WPOV championship.
Wow. It's fucked up. Jesus Christ.
1 second to the no more.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be longer for you to even win a championship, Mimi.
It's okay.
That's just rude.
No.
That's just rude.
It's not rude, it's the truth. Alright, so that's the end of our show, I guess. We'll close it up. Good show. Good interview.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last episode of the year. Everybody, from the bottom of our hearts, we'd just like to thank each and every one of you fans for sticking with Wrestling POV. It's because of you guys that we make this show every single week for you guys. It's very entertaining for us, and I hope it was entertaining for you guys. From the UK, China, Brazil, the United States, Canada, China. Did I say China?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I'll say it again. China, Germany, all over the world, and we all thank you. If I know how to say thank you in all those languages, I would, but I don't know how, so I'm just gonna say thank you
In American.
That's it for our show. Please do not drink and drive. It is the new year, and call an Uber or call Lyft or call a friend to pick you up. Okay, it's not worth it. So that is the end of the show. I am your host, Tony Diaz, along with
Mimi Goody.
and the third wheel,
Rick Serrano the third.
and no longer our intern.
Miguel Cole. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, folks!
Happy New
Love,
Year!
peace, and wrestling. We'll see you next year.
Peace out.
Good night, everybody!
Mimi, you said you wanted the Rusev shirt, and since I'm getting all this extra money, this full-time check, I'm gonna get you that shirt.
All right.
Wow, look at that.
Full-time check?
Yeah, he's gonna. Well, what I decided to do, Miguel, is I know you need help. So
Yes.
I'm gonna give you half of what Rick is making.
Oh my goodness, that's gonna be great. So it's like Mr. Rick get his check, and then I get half of what he makes. So it's like 1.5 checks. That's a good idea, Mr. Tony.
No. You're gonna get half of Rick's check.
What the